So we're going to talk a little bit about storing your machine. Now, this is a significantly big machine where you may not have room to store it in your garage and you want to keep it in your van. That's fine. However, I should note, just like all our other systems, these systems are not meant for winter use. These systems cannot be in any sort of freezing conditions. So meaning, if you're going to store this in your truck or your van, bear in mind that if your area reaches freezing temperatures at any point, that you're putting every single component here at risk of either cracking or breaking, making your system requiring an entire filter change. I'm talking membranes, resin, housings, and who knows what else that could be damaged internally. So when choosing a spot to store this guy, I highly recommend either a heated garage or a heated environment, especially if it's going to be wintertime and you're trying to store your system. If you're going to park that van, I'd park it inside a garage. I should note that any damage incurred from a freezing system is not covered by our warranty. So bear in mind that you want to take extra care when deciding where you want to store your system. And that being said, if you do plan on storing your system for a period longer than 2 weeks, say it's not so busy, maybe you have an injury, or maybe it is wintertime, that is where your RO Guardian packet is going to come into play. Now, this is a packet that you are going to mix with either water or antifreeze if it's wintertime. And at that point, you would open up your RO cap, you'd pour it directly into your membrane, basically like you're pickling something. And at that point, you'll allow the entire membrane to fill up. You also want to disconnect your DI so you don't get any of that into your resin chamber. But at that point, you'll be preparing your system for both long-term storage as well as protecting it from any freezing conditions, especially if you're using the antifreeze at that point. Now, you're doing this to prevent any sort of microbial growth in your RO housings that can occur from long periods of sitting. Now, long is relative to bacteria. That's basically what happens. Bacteria thrives in stagnant water and in enclosed environment. So that RO Guardian powder, in regards of storage, is going to allow you to preserve these membranes. So it's important to utilize that when it's important to bear that in mind when you are planning on storing your system. You have a lot of metal components and powder-coated brackets on this system. And that being said, you should bear in mind that any sort of corrosive chemicals or salts like bleach, especially if you're in a beachy environment and you're around a lot of salt water and sulfur, that can cause corrosion and rust on your system in various areas, whether it's your frame, where the welds are, the brackets, the hardware. It's important to bear in mind that you should keep this system further away from any sort of bleach or chemical like that to prevent any surface rust from appearing on your metal components. So now, we're going to go ahead and talk about maintaining your system as far as filter changes and everything else that's involved.